Hello, 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 everyone.
Yes, hello.
It is finally the day. We are here and we are live and full in effect. Uh, Unmasking the Covered Me podcast. The day is finally here. How you feeling, G?
I'm excited. I'm feeling all the emotions and anxious, because unmasking the covered you is like, I'm showing myself to the world. And so
Yes.
I feel all of the emotions right now. How are you feeling?
Same. I'm feeling all the emotions. Any emotion that you could think of that's in a dictionary, you will see my face next to it right now in this very moment. It's been a long time coming. I'm just gonna say that. I've been sitting on this for almost like 2 years. So I finally decided to put, some action behind my yes. And finally, show the world, what the process is of unmasking the covered me truly means. But I'm also having, people help me out with doing that. So each month I'm going to have a special guest that's going to help me reveal how, they processed, unmasking the covered them, right? And this is a learning process, right? Like, I'm not a podcaster. I've done it before, but this is not something that I naturally just do. So it's okay if it's hiccups, like I was telling you before, like, if things are not perfect, it's all right. It's all good, right? We just here to have a good time, kind of talk it out, whatever your process was, however you felt, and all that good stuff. So we are going to dive in. But before we dive in, I kind of just want you to introduce yourself. Give the people a little bit about you, what you're doing now, all that little good stuff.
Hi, everyone. Hello. I see you all in the chat. Hi. My name is Gianna Cook. I am a sophomore at the George Washington University. My major is English on the pre-law track with a double minor in sociology and criminal justice. I know Nyesha from our sisterhood in church, and
Yes.
excited to get into the conversation. You'll learn more about me and my background as we kind of go through tonight, but that's just a little bit about me and where I come from.
Good. And you're not, now correct me if I'm wrong, I couldn't remember. You're actually not in school, right? You're at home.
Yeah, I'm doing virtual.
Right. Gotcha. I'm like, wait a second. Yeah. Gianna, I just lost my thought for a second. Lord, help me, Jesus. Help me.
It's okay.
Y'all bear with me.
We're going to give it back to you.
Yes. Yes. Hi, everybody. I see everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for coming on. I was a little nervous because I didn't know if I was going to be able to figure out how to get everybody to see, but it's working out good. So that's good. We all good. So I first too want to acknowledge that I am wearing my husband's friend clothing line. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it stands for OOF, and it stands for Out on Faith. And this is a part of my Out on Faith, my leap of faith walk with doing this podcast. So I thought this was very befitting to wear this evening. So he has a really good clothing line. So if you guys want to check him out, I will make sure that I put it in the chat, when this is all over with, because he does, his message, his clothing line sends off a really good positive message. So, and also, if anybody has somebody, who has a good clothing line, who has that is a positive message, and, tag me in it, because I'm willing to support. And I definitely want to support others, as people support me too as well. All right. So let's get into it. Yeah, I'm like shaking off the nerves.
Right. Me too. We're gonna get into it.
Yes. So I am so excited. First, I want to ask you, right? Because how everybody, I chose, all my guests, right, that are going to come onto the podcast, but there's a questionnaire also that you have to answer. So I do want to ask you, Gianna, how was it answering the questionnaire that I did email to you?
Man, I mean, honestly, like, I was like, wow, like, I know 2020 we were in isolation and you learned a lot about yourself, but like having to put it down on paper, I was like, wow, okay, God, like you're really asking me questions that I've thought about, but to actually admit to myself and also come to some new revelations and conclusions, it was definitely revelatory, I'll say. It was like a moment I knew when I saw the questions before, because when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's a questionnaire. I'm thinking it's something easy, like I can just fill it out quickly. But then when I saw the questions, I said, all right, now I'm gonna have to have a space where I am alone, because my story is mine, and I want to give the most authentic, real version of me. And so I took time and even paused in some moments, answering it, because it was like, wow, God, you got me for that, or wow, I used to really think these things, and now compared to how I am now, it was just a very good process though. It was like a moment to just really sit back and reflect on my life, my 20 years of living. So yeah.
The crazy thing is, right, because your mom, which you guys will eventually meet, Pastor Lavelle, she is one of the guests on the podcast, but I'm not going to tell you when she's a guest on the podcast. But she has really been helping me through this process too as well. So when I sent her the questionnaire, I'm like, okay, she's gonna look at my questionnaire and we're gonna be all good. And she was like, okay, so it looks good, but I want you to answer this question. And I was like, whoop, this is not me.
Right.
And I'm like, but she's right. Like, how can you ask these questions and not even, know it for yourself? Right. So I actually had to take a moment and I had to answer some of these questions too, as well. So let's dive right on in. Right. So I thought it was so cute though, because the first question just asked, describe who you are in 3 sentences, right? So Gianna's like, I'm the girl who loves to dance in the mirror. And I'm like, I'm just looking and I'm just imagining you literally just dancing in the mirror. So I thought, okay, what type of music do you like, Gianna?
I literally, I cannot tell you, because my playlist is so eclectic. I'll listen to classical music, then Caribbean music, then R&B, then gospel. So it really depends on how I'm feeling. My friends and my mom will tell you, 1 minute it'll just be straight Caribbean. They'd be like, oh, you think you're in the island? I'm like, yes, that's how it is. So I love all types of music, honestly. The only thing I can't get with though is rock. That's just a little too hard.
Okay.
Other than that, I listen to all types of music.
Okay. Because I didn't even realize that you listen to, different genres of music, right? Until I saw you at Shantae's wedding. And Shantae is another one of our sisters from the church. Mm-hmm. And I said, is that Gianna on the dance floor? I did not know you had all the moves in you. So when that's the image that I got when I read that question, you dancing in the mirror, I was like, Gianna was on the floor, she was getting
I was having a good time.
As you should. That's good. Okay, so that's good. That question, I just thought it was so cute to me. It was cute. I liked it. All right. So my first question was, right, what was your first step in uncovering the hidden you, right? And what I really found that was interesting, that I did not know at all. And like you said, we've known each other now for at least, I think, almost 4 years now, at least. And I never even knew that you were even going through this, because you were in high school, when I knew you, and I didn't know that you were going through this. So I thought it was very interesting, for you to say what you said. So you did say, in middle school that you were bullied, for being Black, right? And then at the beginning of high school, you were bullied for being a Christian, right? A girl who doesn't do anything. So, what you did was you will always restructure yourself to fit in, and be the watered down version, right? So when you say watered down version, what does that mean?
Yeah, so I would make myself palatable for people. I was told that, calm down, because every time I spoke, I was just so passionate about everything I did, and I was in class wanting to help. I was just always willing to, just jump to it. and my ambition kind of like always would be so like, you're excited. And so a lot of people would tell me, you're doing too much, or, when I would talk about God, it'd be like, it's not that deep, or, all those things, in middle school, for being Black. I mean, I couldn't help my Blackness, but, like, oh, why is your hair in braids? And so I had straight hair and permed. And so I, made myself acceptable because I wanted friends. I wanted to fit in. I just didn't know, even though I had like mentors and my mom saying like, there's beauty in standing out. At that time, it was like, yeah, but like, I want friends. I want a community. And even if that means me even being, picked on or talked about in the midst of it, I was kind of willing to make that compromise, because it was like that nice nasty, like, oh, we're nice, but I'll say a sly comment. So I kind of go here and there until I got tired, like until I was realized I don't like this person I'm becoming, because in that I was with girls who would put themselves above other girls, and that was never my personality. I'm not that person who's into cliques, never have. And so I found myself in this clique environment, and though in it for a while, it got to a point where it was like, Gianna, what are you doing? Like, like, this is not you, this is not who you are supposed to be. And nor do you like being, I would like, certain things would happen and I would just look and just be like, man, like, am I really in this? Like, is it worth it, kind of thing?
Right.
So it wasn't until I really got tired of just, suppressing who I really was, and tired of, being disrespected ultimately, just because I wanted to be me. And there's just something about when you've had enough, people were telling me, I grew up in church. So, I went to a lot of conferences and talked about who you should be and know your worth, and hearing all of that was nice. But, it wasn't until I had to come to the conclusion that, this is not the life I want for myself.
Right. Wow. Yeah. I can definitely relate to that too as well. And the reason why I say that is because, when you get sick and tired, you get sick and tired, right? And you said that too, in one of your responses. You said, I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you do get to that point, and there's really no like, it's no like, you can't remember like the date and the time and, and how it happened and when it happened. It just happens. It's just like something that you feel inside of you, and you just say, this is it. Like, enough is enough. Like I'm kind of tired of being this way. I'm tired of, doing it this way. I'm tired of, being how everybody else wants me to be. Right. And I'm not being me. Because then you literally feel like a kind of like an Alexa, right? Like a Alexa, turn on, right? And she turns on, right? So now you're just, Alexa, tell me what the weather is, so like, it's just like, you're not even being yourself. You're just continuing to just operate in a way of, okay, I'm just here, right? Because this is just what it is. Yeah. So I can definitely, relate to that, like just being sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like enough is enough, Nyesha. Like, come on, like, get it together.
Yeah, even in being just a yes person, like that Alexa, like it was always like, Gianna, could you do this? Gianna, do that. To the point there was like this inside joke in my family of like a certain word I used to say. I won't say it because it will reveal certain identities. But
oh, come on, Jigs. I'm just playing.
But, and they'd be like, oh, you acting like this. And then, because it was, I kind of tried to just ingrain myself into this mold that wasn't me, it's just being that person. Like, and my mom would kind of be like, well, why do you feel like you have to do that? Why do you? And it's because I have to, because that social was so important to me. Just that need to fit in, that sense of belonging. Yeah.
Now your process, because you did say that, you were trying to, fit in and, be in the clique and all that stuff. When you actually, did you have a conversation with any of these friends, or it was kind of like you just dismissed them and was like, I'm just done. Like, I'm not even going to hang out with them no more. Like, what did that process look like for you?
Well, Middle school, obviously, it was more of like I graduated, so
Right.
that one was a just by leaving. The high school one was actually very interesting. It was because ninth and 10th grade were like where it was like, I guess the true test and was really bad. I would say middle school was bad on the level of like, being bullied for, my looks, but high school was like, I was being bullied because I loved God, because of
Right.
sure. And that shook me because I also was dealing with low self-esteem too. So it was okay, yeah, I'm growing in God and I love God. Like I know I love God, but like
Right.
this part of me where it's like God saying I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, I don't get that and I don't understand that because other people are making fun of me for it. And so that was interesting because in high school, I was with a group of people who, had that mindset of, um, just saying those negative things. And it was conversation, but differently though. I think in the beginning I would start off with like, like, hey, that's not funny, like, and let them know serious about certain things. It wasn't really until 10th grade that I really kind of got like aggressive, like you say you're my friend, you say you're my best friend, in fact, and you are treating me this way. That's just not okay. That's not how it
Right.
goes. I'm not your punching bag. Like I'd have to make it really clear. And it wasn't until, because I went to 2 high schools because my high school that I went to in 9th and 10th grade shut down. And so it wasn't until I shifted from 10th grade to 11th grade and those friends who I had who were those that way, I kind of had made it known like, I'm not okay with this. We're not talking this and that. And I laid it all out online because for me,
Right.
it was always a matter of I would always try to communicate the best way I knew how, even though I knew they weren't the friends they could be to me. I tried to communicate where they were wrong. So it was never like I'm arguing and getting loud with you. That's not my character. If I get loud with you, that's just point of no return, but like I was explaining to them where it was wrong until I just kind of given up. And it wasn't until I got into my new school that the best friend reached out to me and apologized. And like, I mean, apologized. And it was because I kind of had like washed my hands of it. It was like, look, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I'm going into a new school where I can decide who Gianna is going to be. I can, because you get labeled the Christian girl, and they make that a negative, and I accepted it as a negative. But this is not just 9th through 10th grade. I wasn't learning more about God. I was starting to get more awareness of like, no, I am all that because God says I'm all that.
Right.
And it was more of a matter of, you know what, I forgive you, and today, a lot of them actually comment on my pictures. They'll DM me. Some of them I could have a conversation with right now. And it wasn't easy though, like very, very painful because we have this saying in our family, and I've learned now, like not saying, but mostly like when we consider you friends in our family, you're just family. There's no such thing really as friends. My parents, mom especially, is a very giving person, and I always try to model that. And so I would always just be this giving person, but I had to learn, and even in my switch in high school, that people got to start off at 0. You can't start them off at 100. They got to earn that, and you got to put in their proper perspectives. And so it wasn't until I had to go through that painful process, and if we go back, I had friends with issues with friends, specifically girls, because girls can be gossip.
And chatty and
I had issues with girls since I was in like 1st, 2nd grade. So for me, when I say I was sick and tired, I was really sick and tired because this is like a thing, always groups and cliques and accusing someone of something that had nothing to do. Oh, you think you're better than? I'm just telling you my life and my story. And so, yeah, in high school, that was just like the process. I definitely communicated with them more in high school than I did in middle school.
Okay. Well, of course, because you were a little bit older too, as well. right? And those not saying that middle school relationships don't have, any meaning, but you mature a little bit more, but then also, you know what I'm saying, because in high school you guys, you may go off to college together, like, you know what I'm saying, like you change, you go up levels with each other in high school too as well. It was a good segue, when you said it was a process, right? And you talked about forgiveness too as well, and forgiveness is huge, right? Because we always think that forgiveness is, you have to forgive this person. Well, I'm not going to speak for everybody, I'm going to speak for myself, right? Forgiveness to me was, I have to, if I forgive this person, that means now that I have to do everything the same way that we did before, which that's not necessarily true, right? And then also, someone asked me a question, I think it was my sister that asked me a question before, well, how do you forgive, like, how do you forgive somebody that really has hurt you? And I said, there is a process, right? But you're not forgiving that person for what they did to you, right? You're forgiving that person for yourself, right? To keep you moving forward, to keep you going. Because what happens is, when you don't forgive that person for you're bound up in all that unforgiveness. You know what I'm saying? Now you're upset and you're frustrated. So now it's either you're gonna shut down, close out, be angry, be frustrated. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff is going to play a part because you haven't forgiven, that person. And not saying that's going to happen overnight, because Lord knows forgiveness does not happen overnight at all.
No, it does not.
It is definitely a process. I was listening to a sermon today by what's his name? Pastor, no, Dr. Darius Daniels. And he had said something so profound. He said, I decide my closure when it comes to forgiveness. So you make that decision. You make that decision when you're ready to forgive that person. Right. So you did touch on, some forgiveness about, when you were being bullied and all that stuff. And you had said you did also say that forgiveness is a process, right? But if you acknowledge the how, the what, the who, or the when added in your life, instead of fixating on what it took away, then you'll be able to grow from it, and whatever that it may be, right? So
I did say that, didn't I?
You did. You did. Yes, you did.
I'm like, wow, God, that's growth. Because my.
Hello, somebody.
Yeah.
Yes. You said that was good. It was good. So I wanted to ask you, what was your it, right? For that forgiveness process that you had to go through. If you could think of one thing, of whom you had to forget, or, or what you had to forgive, like what was that?
Yeah. I had to realize, and I realized this even more when I was writing the answers to the podcast. I had to forgive myself, for
Right.
them. Because I'm getting a little emotional.
Yeah, as you should. Listen, it's a process.
I had to forgive myself because not only did I believe them, but I spoke negatively to myself. I used to tell myself in the mirror at school, "You're ugly, and I don't know why God created you." I think that. And even every time I think about me saying that, it breaks my heart, because I really, took what they said. It didn't matter what my mom said, what my father said, what my friends and family, who I know love me, who I know are like, "Gianna, you're this amazing person," but everyone saw it but me.
Yep.
And so I had to forgive myself for accepting the hatred and doing the hating,
Right.
hating on myself, how I presented myself to the world, how I just watering down myself, back to the question about who are you, the girl who dances in the mirror. That's something I always hold true, because when I dance in the mirror, and that's at the moment I feel like my most authentic, because I am being the goofiest, I am being the realest version of me. That is at the core of what represents Gianna.
Right.
free in that moment.
Right.
And so even having to forgive myself for suppressing that little girl's voice because of what someone else said or what someone else did. Because it wasn't just one person. A band of what is it, that flock together quote.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Right.
like it was a lot of people. And so, at my age, I didn't know any better. However, I did have a support system that I could believe. But
Right.
it revealed to me that, was it really that they were bullying me, or they were revealing something in me that I wasn't loving the way I should have, or I
Right.
wasn't accepting about myself the way I should have. And so I really had to forgive me, and I had to reverse those words that I said to myself. And everyone who knows me knows when I talk about self-love, you got to talk to yourself. Like, it may sound crazy, but you really have to talk to yourself.
No, not crazy at all. Yes, you do.
Like, even now, and as I'm going through my own unmasking moment, in those moments, I have to talk to myself. I have to, be like, all right, Gianna, what we gonna do? All right, like even in my moments where I would be just, breaking down, crying, but there was always that little voice like, Gianna, you got this.
Right.
Not gonna
Right.
even with those, even sometimes suicidal ideations, feeling like, maybe I should just end it all.
Right.
The saving grace of it all was that I did have God as a foundation.
Right.
And that I was so close to my mom, it was like God and her, like my mom is my best friend, my ride or die chick. And because we were always so open and I talked to her about it and she knew I struggled with it, it was like, okay, I'm going through this, but I remember the conversation me and my mom had. I remember, just her being like, Gianna, it's not going to be like this always. And I'm getting emotional, but
yeah, it's okay. That's a part. This is a part of the process. This is a part of the unmasking the covered me. This is what this is all about, right? Like, if you gotta cry, cry. It's an open, free space. And sometimes people need to see that.
Yeah, but
it's okay.
It's not going to be like that always. And
right.
I'm crying because when I think about today, that little girl would be so proud of me,
Right. Right. Right.
I really wanted to end it, at that point in my life. It was just too much to bear. It was, it was, a lot. And not just, it wasn't just school either, because it was like, I'm dealing with these things at school, but then I have to put on this face of a type A personality, have to put on this face of being the perfect church girl, be put on this pedestal, that I never even asked for,
Right.
You don't know, I'm a PK,
Right.
I went to a Christian school, might I add, that I got bullied. And so you can imagine the confusion going through a 12-year-old's mind. You're being taught, God loves you, you're being taught, he's making you, he's creating you. And then, these same students who, you see them worshiping God, but then they bully you. Or you adults, holding you to this pedestal of like, if you make a mistake, God forbid, hell will come fire and, take you.
Right.
And so, yeah, but it was really that those moments where I knew if I did take my life, I'd regret it. I knew if I did, say cut my wrist or do those things, because I'm still being poured into. So all this is happening because I'm being poured into God. And I just kept hearing God say, like, I have so much more for you. I have so much more for you. And it was in those moments where I had to be like, all right, Gianna, we're gonna get up. We're gonna do this, and I look in the mirror and I talk to myself. Sometimes if I was at school, wherever it was, I had to just go and find a mirror. because it's
Right.
about looking at yourself
Yes.
and being honest and
Yep.
being able to say, there's no one around, and being like, where do you see you want to be?
Right.
Where do you like, because even though I had all these things and I had these things, it was like, but I see myself being so much greater than what this is.
Yeah.
It was that push in me, that like inner Noah of like,
Hmm.
Gianna, you're bigger than this. And even
Right.
if you not know how to fight it or what you're fighting, you're gonna fight.
Right.
And so reversing those words, and like I said, I talk to myself to this day. Like this morning, I had to have a self conversation because it gets hard wherever it is. Just this journey of life. But you got to
Right.
be like, all right, God, I'm not giving up. This is only making me. Just so I
Right.
met so many other people. But yeah, that to answer your question in the larger sense, like I had to forgive myself. I had to, talk to myself and also be
Yeah.
willing to be mentored and talk to.
Right.
My mom is also a therapist and a pastor, and for
Right.
a while, and she knows this, it bothered me, that everyone could go to her,
Mm.
I didn't want to share, like people come
Right.
to her and, getting all this wonderful advice. And here I am struggling, and, just feeling like, well, dag, like, but, when she said, my mom is very easy to talk to,
Right. Yes, she is.
she was like, Gianna, you can talk to me. Like, it doesn't have to be, pastor, therapist, I'm your
Mm.
first. And
Right.
that is what I believed, forged our relationship, because me and my mom are always close, but the ability to talk to her about all of this and all of what I was going through. And just even some nights when I was crying, just coming in my room or praying with me, like, like I said, that's my ride or die. Like,
Right.
you know, she was very instrumental in that process of,
Right.
making sure her daughter was, good. That I know she has to figure it out on her own, but I'm gonna still be there. I'm gonna still, all right, what's going on? Sometimes, when I wasn't talking, she'd talk to me and
Right.
will wear me down, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna talk now, Um,
Right.
so just even in that, and when it just wasn't my mom, then my mentor, when I came to New Covenant, Rohisha, and
Right.
she, uh, I laugh because she's just so real. Like she's there. If you want real, go to her. Like it's as real as it gets. My mom is real too, but like she's like unscathed, no
Uncut real.
exactly. Uncut real. And I really appreciated that in this season of my life. And she was the one who really taught me that, forget the pedestals people put you on,
Right.
don't be Gianna the daughter, Gianna the mentor, just be Gianna.
Right.
And and just to our pastor, like being able to listen, because I could have easily took that victim status, like
Yeah.
what was
It's so easy. Yeah.
it is easy. And I did fall into those moments. But it
Right.
got to those point that point where it was like, no, Gianna, there's better. And they wouldn't even let me if I wanted to, they're
Right.
all gospel gangsters, so that wouldn't have
Right.
happened,
Yeah, they hooded holy.
Totally, exactly. So that wouldn't have been able to happen either way. But I am so grateful that, along with the talking to myself, that I had mentors and also that I was willing to listen.
Right.
I always would hear other people's stories who were older than me when I was young. And I was always told I was mature for my age. And I would hear their stories. And I'd just be like, no offense to certain people, but I'd be like, God, I don't want that to be my story. Like,
Right. Right.
I would,
Right.
like, what do I need to do to, prevent that, or prevent it being that deep or growing in bitterness and all this other stuff. So
Right.
I always took the posture to listen because,
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that when I did make my choices, it was well-informed choices and not because
Right.
I didn't know any better or because I didn't want to listen.
Right. Right. That yeah, I got a little teary eye too. Because when you said, you know, you have to look in the mirror, right, and really like self-talk to yourself. And I just commend you for doing that. You're 20, right?
Yep.
20 years old. And I am I'm 37, and I'm just learning that process, right? So um and this week has definitely been, it's only Wednesday, but it has definitely been trying for me, because I'm like, did I really hear him right? Like, am I supposed to be doing this? Like, and you become afraid and you become scared, right? But then you do have to really literally talk to yourself. I find it so much easier to really like talk to myself and look at myself in the mirror. But now I can say that I'm okay with looking at myself in the mirror, because there was times, even just last year, it was a point in my life where I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. Like, I didn't see the value of me. I thought, because I was broken, because I felt like I couldn't move past of not forgiving, certain people in my life for what they have done. I just thought that there was just no more value to me,
Mhm.
because I was just so broken, until I finally realized that it's okay to not be okay. Right. And I'm about to get teary eyed.
Look,
Right. Like, it's okay to not be okay. And I literally had like an ugly moment on Monday. And I'm talking about like snot nose crying in the mirror, like talking to myself like, Nyesha, like, there is a greater you on the inside of you. No, you're not going to be bound up. No, you're not going to revert back to your old ways. No, you're not doing that. No, you're not going there. No, we're moving forward. This is what we need to do. This is what you need to do. Like, you got to keep pressing, and I'm talking about even to like the very second of me having to get on. It's like, how can I get out of it? Like, no, it's no getting out of it. I need you to keep pushing past, keep putting that one foot in front of the other. Right. So that self-talk is definitely, something that, that has helped me. I can't speak for everybody else, but it feels good to hear that, that is the process that, that kind of helped you through too as well. Because I'm like, people gonna think I'm crazy. Like, no,
Right.
they're not. Like, it's all a part of that process to be able to in self-talking, because it's those voices, those inner voices, they will disqualify you quick.
Right. Like my
Like,
mom,
I mean,
the committee of idiots in your head will try to convince you that you ain't worth nothing. And you
ain't worth nothing.
relax,
Nothing.
relax.
Right. For real. I see everybody, like, a lot of people are just, talking, and they have so many comments. I really just appreciate everybody who is watching. You guys just have no idea. I really, really do. I really, really do. Thank you so much. All right. Whew. I had to get I got really emotional.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, let me watch my mom find out I got a soft spot for her. She know I love her.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. I do too. Yeah, Pastor Lavelle she the homie.
Right.
She got my heart. I love her.
Everybody
She's
know.
amazing.
Don't mess with that one. That's my ride or die. Okay.
So I always say, it's a joke, right? But I always say, I'm like, I always call you LJ. I'm like Lavelle Jr., because you remind me so much of your mom. Like, it's just crazy. Like, even when you said something in here, I'm looking for it. Oh goodness. Oh, you said, I am Gianna that says what she says. No, I am Gianna that says what she has to say boldly for what she believes is right, because your voice was suppressed for so long. So when I read boldly, I'm like, if that's not LJ right there, that is Lavelle Jr. all the way right there. I'm like, I know that's right.
My mom does not give no tea for the fever. Neither do I. I love that trait about us.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And it's a good thing that you have it early, right? Like I said, I always forget how old I am. I believe I'm 37. I'll be 38 this year. But it's been a long time coming, and I'm still not done. There is some things that are still being unmasked, right? Even through this process, right? But I realize that it's okay that, that I am going through that process. Like, it's okay to, not necessarily be there already. Like, it's all right. Like, it definitely is okay. So, Yeah, and mental health is so important and so key. It's not just, everybody's like, oh, I want to make sure I'm healthy and I'm strong. But mentally, your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Because
Right.
mentally, you can begin to be so caught up in those thoughts and be so stressed out and so depressed that you can't eat. You can't sleep. Now it brings on other things. It brings on heart problems, hypertension, dizziness, like all that stuff because of your mental health, because you're not in a good space, right? So it's definitely key to, having, like a good mentor, right? Having that go-to person that you can trust and that you can, and they don't care about, if you are wrong, and not necessarily saying you're wrong in the way that you're feeling, but if you're feeling a certain way and like you said, you're at a point where, now you're just continuing to play victim, they're going to call you on it, right? Like, like you need those type of people in your life because they're coming from a place of love. They're not just doing it to be malicious or be nasty. They want to see you continue to prosper. They want to see you live and not die, right? That's because they love you. So
yeah, and definitely, that mental health portion, that's another thing that helped me through the process. Journal.
yeah.
I'm a person, I think about every situation. My imagination is so active, it's ridiculous. And so during that time, and even now, like, writing it out, because you could just get it out from up here, and writing it down because
Right.
of your own sanity. Because then you're not able to sleep at night, and
Right.
for me, thank God, that's just not my story anymore. Very early. Okay.
Right.
My friends know not to call me because my thing is, look, I'm gonna give it to God. And also just wanted to add to that process before we move on to the next part. But
Yeah.
Also I had to learn how to, be mad at God. I know people may think that that's not okay. You're not supposed to be mad at God. No, there were times, as long as that self-talk, I'd be like, all right, God, why are you letting this happen to me? Like, God, like, this is really your doing. Like, like that whole why did you create me thing, I was mad. Like, I had to, sometimes be like, God, what is going on? Like, I don't know what you're doing in my life. Like, and I'm upset that I feel like you're just letting these things happen and you're not coming and helping me. And
Right.
even that still small voice, like, oh, Gianna, you got this. And the moments where I was just frustrated and angry, because it wasn't just hurt and pain, it was anger too, but
Right.
which just stemmed from the hurt and pain.
Right.
But being willing to be like, all right, Lord. But at the end of all of it, though, at the end of every time I went off and was like, God, I don't know what's going on, I'd be like, you know what, Lord? Because I know your works. Like, I knew stories, I knew people who have made it. And I'd be like, all right, God, I know your resume. So I may not like it today. I don't know what's going on. But I trust you.
Right.
And sometimes I'd admit, God, I'm scared to trust you with certain things.
Mm.
Scared to trust you with that part. Not because I don't know what you're going to do it. I don't know you're going to do it, but because I don't know how you're going to do it. Who do you take away? I'll be so scared of for people to be taken away from me. I did forge these relationships with people. And even though as wrong as they were, I just wanted that validation, that covenant, because I didn't want to be alone and left with myself.
Right.
So, yeah, definitely.
Did you feel like you wanted to control, though, like you wanted to control what was happening too, as well?
Absolutely. I definitely, yes, absolutely. I won't say I'm a control freak, but
Right.
I'm that girl who is like, I like to plan things out. I know what I want my wedding to look like, all this stuff. I knew how I wanted my life to look like. And so the fact of losing control was just so hard, because it was like, this is not how I pictured my life would plan out. Me being who was bullied, or me being, or, I never wanted to be that person. I think that's also another reason why I didn't take the victim status as much, because I never wanted to be that person, how you see in movies where you let it stifle you, let it cripple you. Like, it'd be like, I used to think, like, is it really that bad that you like down and out? And then when I went through it, I was like, oh, I can see how you could be down and out. And it gave me compassion, for people who sometimes do take that route. But I realized, like, Gianna, you can't control everything. Like,
Right.
you gotta let God have the way he had it. And it was so much bigger than what I was thinking, because even though because when I think about how he's turned it for my good, it was so much bigger than what I thought.
Right.
Gone. So, yeah.
Right. So I just, I'm just sitting here and I'm just looking at you and I'm just like, you actually look absolutely beautiful. But I want you to just kind of spend a moment talking to your younger self, right? Like, what would you say right now in this moment to your younger self?
Okay. I'm going to talk to my younger self as if it was a letter.
Yep.
Dear Gianna, you made it. I know it may seem ugly right now and frustrating, even very hurtful and draining, and you want to give up. But I want you to know that if you keep fighting, you're going to be more than proud of yourself. And you're going to not only be proud of yourself, you're going to know who you are and love who you are. You're going to have people surrounded around you that push you and not take away from you. You're going to have relationships that sharpen you and don't cut you. Have a support system, and you're not going to have to worry about being lonely anymore. You are even going to help other young girls who are going through the same thing because you made it. That's what I was telling my younger self.
Wow. That's good. That's good. And to kind of, because we are coming to the end, so I want to make sure that you speak about the ministry that you are a part of, when it comes to young girls, because it's needed. Like young, they need to hear your story, right? Because it just gives people, it gives them hope. Like, I feel like this generation today, like, they have so much access to so many things. It's scary.
Yeah.
And and I'm speaking from a mom's perspective too as well. My son, my 13-year-old, has dealt with some issues of not wanting to live anymore, right? So it's so important, for them to see people kind of like similar, because to him, I'm old. Like, I'm just old because I'm mom, right? But for him to be able to see somebody else kind of close to him, right? Kind of go through a little bit of what maybe he's going through, because I don't really know, because he won't open up. But sometimes when people, when they have that outlet and they have other people, right, that they can open up to. So I do want you to talk about, your ministry that you have up and coming. I think it actually started already, right?
Yes, it started. So I am the co-facilitator along with our sister in Christ, Elder Shantae, of Daughters of the King Ministry. It is a community-based organization, so you don't have to be a part of our church to join. It's from ages 12 to 17, and we basically just teach them all of what I went through, but the positive way, talking about your self-esteem, talking about your self-worth, knowing who you are, growing in the faith, showing and using biblical women in the Bible as examples like Deborah, Eve, Rahab, like they all served a purpose. God wouldn't have them in the Bible if they didn't. And, just teach
Right.
about that. And that's the ministry I'm currently working on. I'm also a part of Visions of Bell. I'm a core Bell. That's the organization my mentor is a part of. The head of it, actually, Rohisha Hicks. I'm
Okay.
younger Bells. And so you can find more information about Daughters of King. You can just message me on Facebook and I can give you more information about that. But yeah, that was like something that my mom, who's the pastor of the church, one of the pastors of the church, brought to us, and instantly I knew that was what God had called me to do.
Right.
So till the point, like he was just revealing to me everything I needed to do and how I want to speak. Like he told me that was my baby. Like that was girls, everything you went through. Like that's why, so that you can teach them that they don't have to worry about or suppress or do any of those things to just live fully in their truth. So
Right. That's that hashtag, right? Because one of the questions too was, if you could think of a hashtag, like what was one of the first ones that came to your mind? And your hashtag was, well, at least what your first one was, because you did do 3, but your first one was purpose in my pain.
mm-hmm.
Right. So now that you know all of that you have went through, right? And probably are continuing to go through, there's purpose in it, right? So now we go through to bring other people through, right? So you went through what you went through at that young age, to now be in a place of, helping another young girl that's in that same very spot as you, to bring her through. So that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I love hashtags. So you also, your other hashtag was also break free. And then the other one was I am the authentic me. I like that one, by the way. So I just might take it. I like that one. I don't think I ever used that one before. So yeah, so I mean, we are coming to the end. Again, Gianna, I thank you. I love you. I am so proud of you. I'm honored to be able to watch you grow and develop. You actually inspire me too as well, to keep going. You be up there on Sunday, you just be praising and worshiping and praying and exalting and and then I even see you outside of that too as well. And and I do see the growth. Like I feel like when I first met you, you were kind of like real timid and like, okay, can I really trust these people? Like, like it wasn't like, oh, like, I can't trust you type of thing. It was just like I had my guard, like you had your guard up. But I can tell like now, like you've really have matured a lot. And I thank you. I thank you for being, my first guest. I know last night when we were kind of like going through like what it was going to look like, you was like the first guest. Yes, absolutely. It had to be you. The first one. Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, I thank everybody for coming on, for watching. I do see a lot of questions. So I am gonna answer questions, after we get off. I'm learning, y'all. Okay, bear with me. I got to get this techie stuff down. With figuring out how to answer questions, and I'm gonna try to get somebody like in the background to, help me filter and answer through these questions too as well. So y'all just, it's a process, and we all in it together, right? But again, like I said, I thank you. I thank everybody, for coming on. And I will see you all next month on the 27th. I'm not going to tell you who the guest is. You'll see the flyer eventually.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Now, Gianna, I just want you, before we go, I just want you to, give all your like Facebook, your Instagram, Vision of Bell, like all that stuff.
Oh, yes. So my Facebook is Gianna Cook, just my name. And my Instagram is _.Gianna29. I'm not private because I feel like if I'm going to be the authentic me, there's nothing to hide. So you can just follow me and I'll follow you back. So, yep, those are the 2 things I have, Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome. All right. So thank you again, Gianna. I love you so much. This was good. it was all worth all the butterflies and all the nerves for the past couple of days. It was really good. It was good. All right, guys. So everybody have a good night. Continue to be safe. And I love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.